It's been a busy day for Call of Duty. Earlier in the day, Modern Warfare 3 was made backwards compatible for Xbox One. If you guys missed that video, we talked about that a little bit here up on the channel, but that's something you can check out if you want to. But in this video, we're going to be talking about Call of Duty World War II because there's a lot of stuff really to talk about that came out of today in particular. Tomorrow, we're going to have another video recapping some of the stuff that happened today just so we don't have to cram so many things into different videos here because there's a lot to talk about between DLC 3 promo that dropped today and then some stuff in terms of the update for Attack of the Undead as well as some weapon tuning. So we're gonna break those apart and we'll hold one off until tomorrow so you don't have to be inundated with content here up on the channel. But regardless, we ended up getting our first official look in at DLC 3 for Call of Duty World War II. The leaks were right that PlayStation gave us a couple of days ago. It is called United Front as that title of that DLC 3. So today I want to take a look at 7 things that you may have missed out of that trailer. But first and foremost, if you didn't see the trailer, well, let's check it out right now.
Fix him and flank him! Fight and no point to break him! Always fighting. Enemy spotted! Pushing back. Down to my last chance. Sniper! Get cover! Paratroopers descending! Axis forces hold the Meredith line. Demolish the bridge and cut their supply road. Attack direkt voraus! Fire and maneuver! You won't be shaken!
So that is a pretty solid trailer if you ask me, but there is one thing that is of course completely missing that we'll talk about here in just a second. But that said, there are 7 things I want to talk to you guys here about this and things you may have missed that may mean a little bit of cool things for Call of Duty World War II's DLC 3. So let's jump right into it. The first one here, that being one on the map Stalingrad. Now this one isn't necessarily about the map itself, but instead the location of the map, because it is set in Stalingrad or modern-day Volgograd, and it's one of, if not the furthest pushes into the Eastern Front that we've seen out of all of the maps within Call of Duty World War II. Now, I don't know if this is any indication as to finally pushing eastward more, but it is something that, I don't know if it's the case, but I'd love to see if this was any sort of indication as to completely pushing out of just the European theater for upcoming DLC, like maybe DLC 4 or an event here and there. I personally would love to see some stuff on the Pacific front because there is still so much you could do, but with one DLC map pack left, I don't know exactly, but I also want to bring this up because we've seen various mentions of the Russians in terms of uniforms and all that kind of stuff within World War II already, but we really hadn't seen all that much. We could also integrate some more weaponry coming soon if this is going to be a main focal point for United Front. So it'll be cool to see if this is in fact a little more of a teaser in terms of content to come, instead of just maybe say a historical location for it, but regardless, it is going to be one that is awesome, and it is still at the very base here, one of the furthest east east pushes we've had in World War II setting. Now, as for Market Garden, that's another map here that we get. This one is the first night map that we've seen in standard MP for quite some time. I know we had Husky, but in the sense of just regular multiplayer maps, I find these night maps refreshing. Black Ops 3 went back and added a few in the nighttime perspective, and additionally we got one in World War II as Groston House, but that's not going to be something that sticks around, or at least we don't necessarily know if it will. But for the time being, in terms of just those extra expansions, I'm a fan of these night maps. They're very cool, and I know the community has expressed interest on seeing more of these, so it's nice to see that this is being added in. But in terms of actual gameplay mechanics, let's talk about that a little bit, because that's where we can move into our third point here at this one. That being, firstly, out of all three multiplayer maps that we've seen so far, it seems like elevation is definitely going to be key. We end up seeing that there are a couple flank routes underneath. In Stalingrad, we end up seeing in Monte Cassino that we end up having a lot of high ground scenarios in which, even in the trailer, somebody looks like they're up almost 2 stories. So high ground is definitely going to be something that is key, and elevation is going to play a big part into this DLC map pack, it looks like. But as for the time being, I don't know if we can really worry about it too much. There are things in previous maps, like Dunkirk had some decent high ground to that one with the overlooking windows. V2, of course, you could actually get incredibly high up if you climb the rocket, though you're a main center target. And other maps like Egypt had those different walkways that you can jump down into and those sorts of things. So I think they're going to play rather similarly to those maps if I were to guess right off the bat here. But that said, if you guys are maybe not too much a fan of elevation, this one might be a little curveball for you. Now here's where I really want to get in the meat and potatoes of this little breakdown of things you might have missed, because Operation Supercharge is our brand new war map for DLC 3, and it's one that we got a lot to look at and a couple of things that you definitely don't want to overlook. The next thing up on this list is that of the fact that we can parachute in as paratroopers to begin with. And this looks like what I would imagine is the opening sequence in cinematic here for this, in which that's how we enter the match. Similarly, in, say, Operation Neptune, how you storm the beaches of Normandy, this is going to be one of those things where you are kind of open picking at that very beginning. And it looks like we might even have the AI support as well, simply because when you take a look at that German overlook of all the paratroopers dropping in, there is a ton of them, and definitely a lot more than just, say, those 9 players that would be even in Ground War. So with that said, we're gonna be dropping in, and one cool part about this is the fact that you can also take shots at the enemies as you're dropping in and parachuting into the map. So that's gonna be really cool. It's a nice little mechanic to play around here and kind of distinguish this map from the other ones, and I think that's really cool with the war stuff that we've seen already. Each map has kind of had their own individual calling card in a sense. So for this one, we'll have the parachutes to enter. Last map we ended up seeing Husky was the flying sequence. Then before that, we had Intercept, where you had to rescue the hostages. Those sorts of things, they all have their sort of like individual calling cards to those singular maps. So I think that that's really cool. I like that one. But the next thing that I want to mention is that of the defensive tank fire. For a very brief second, you can end up seeing that there is seemingly what looks like tanks or flak guns on a train that's rolling by that is shooting back at somebody. Now, there's a number of different ways I think this could go. Firstly, it doesn't look to be player controlled, so perhaps it's a time streak that you can activate in a sense, similar to the rocket on V2, where every maybe, say, minute or so, you can end up activating it, and then it will give you defensive fire if you're on the Axis side as the allies are trying to storm that camp that you have. Or it might be something that's just aesthetic, in which how we see the flak guns in the background of maps firing off into nothing, and it's only there for a cinematic purpose. Who knows? That's something, of course, will get revealed in time, but that's definitely something we haven't seen just yet out of any of the maps within Call of Duty World War II. So I think it'll be cool how that plays out. But the next thing, and the second to last thing I want to mention, is that of the objectives. And we don't have these laid out just yet for us entirely. We don't have the map actually available to us to see, well, this is what we got to do first, second, and then third. But it is something from the footage that we see. It looks like, one, we have to storm an objective and or capture it, very similar to that of a hardpoint. But then we also see our character planting a bomb on it, so destroying an objective. If you guys have followed the channel a little bit, this sounds very similar and is identical to that of a leak that we had a little bit of time ago over on Reddit, in which we saw a bunch of stuff laid out from new weapons, the face paint, the Chrome Tiger camo, and then we also saw things like the setting of DLC 3's war map, which it very much so looks like it is, that being said that it was in Tunisia, North Africa as well. So this really all comes down to pointing to one thing that I know that I've mentioned so many times, but now out of that leak, that's something that we've seen everything except one thing just yet. That being that, one, it leads me to believe that this final objective we'll see of the 3 that we'll have for this war map will be laid out as that leak described, and then also the fact that we may very well have that division coming after all this time, because that's the only thing that we've yet to see out of all of it, and well, with another title update on the horizon, that'd be the perfect time to do so. So while it is a little bit of a stretch to go from a brand new division coming from that of the objectives that we saw in the trailer, I mean, it's something that really, in my mind, ties it all together and puts a bow up on top. So that's something that with the objectives and finishing off our section of Operation Supercharge, that's something that to me is incredibly intriguing. Now, the final thing that I want to mention is that of the zombies aspect of DLC 3, because if you watch that trailer, you're probably like, wait, there were zombies? What? I must have missed that. But you didn't, because there actually is no zombies content in this trailer in particular. So that's something that was later confirmed by Cameron Dayton and as well the Sledgehammer Reddit account, but immediately some people got a little bit concerned about what this might mean for zombies, but that is something that we have a full trailer for zombies only coming at some point in time over the next couple of days. Now granted, DLC 2 drops next Tuesday, so there's not a whole lot of time, so maybe around that Thursday, maybe Friday time frame, we'll see that drop, so keep your eyes out for that one. But out of what we can see here for this, we end up seeing a little bit of promo at the very end for that official poster. That promo image that we see from zombies is actually 3 images from the first 3 maps put all into one. So again, I saw some concern with that one, but then again, I want to bring your attention to that of the trophies that we saw that were leaked on PlayStation Network a couple of days ago, because there was some indication that there might be a cross-map Easter egg in a sense, which may simply be the reasoning for seeing those previous 3 zombies all in one marketing image. So we don't know yet for sure, but it is something that makes sense in that regard. But that said, that is 7 things here that you may have missed out of the Call of Duty World War II DLC 3 United Front trailer that we got today. That's really where I want to turn it over to you guys. Did you guys catch anything that maybe I didn't hear? Is there anything that you want to add to this discussion? If so, let me know your thoughts down there in the comment section down below, whatever it may be, whether you're excited, you're not necessarily excited, you found something new, you agree with some of the ideas we have here, whatever it may be, love to get your thoughts and feedback. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, make sure you drop a like down below, and of course, if you guys are new to the channel as well, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding Call of Duty World War II. We're going to be killing with the DLC 3 content, I promise you. We're going to keep you up to date with everything you need to know about that. So if you're interested, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. And if you guys want to follow me over on Twitter, that's the best place to get connected with me outside of YouTube. Practically live on Twitter, so if you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, link is down there in the description below. As well, if you guys want to follow me over on Instagram, also, link is down there in the description below. Been posting relatively regularly over there, so if you want to stay up to date on that front, again, feel free to check it out. But all that said and out of the way, hope you guys have a fantastic day. Thank you all so much for watching. Mine is an espresso. I'm hyped for DLC 3. Hopefully you guys are too. Take care, and peace.